Hi guys, this is Holistic Health with Harry, Alkalize Realize Talk Show. Today we're joined by a very special guest. I'm actually really excited. I just spoken to Gerard a few minutes before, and we know the guy's got great information and resonates very strongly with his message. So, GerarGuevera, how are you
Yes,
today, brother? How are you?
I'm doing great. Absolutely top-notch, high energy. I'm in the middle of a detox liver cleanse, so I just feel the momentum right now, and I'm just glad for you, Harry, to have me on. I love what you're doing. I'm the level of information that you put out. It puts me to shame, and I'm afraid of the level of discomfort that you're able to go through to push forth this information. I totally recognize it. Glad to be here.
Thank you, brother. We all have different masteries. Mine was just like I was lucky to start with urine therapy and go out there, but I recognize your mastery too, brother. And I'm very inspired by what you just said in a few minutes, how we just talked. And I'm looking forward to your opinions on stuff. But can I ask you first of all? I think a good place to start before we get a little bit carried away is like at the base level. How did you personally get into this field of health, or what woke you up, as it were, and when? How long ago was this?
Yeah, so it's very important. So approximately 10 going on 11 years ago, I was sentenced to 2 years in prison. And so prior to being sentenced to 2 years in prison at the age of 18, from 15 to 18, I was in and out of juvenile hall. I was fighting, I was doing drugs, selling drugs. And by the time I turned 18, I was in a gang selling drugs and I had guns on me. And health was kind of it was kind of like, well, from this perspective I have now, it was kind of like I was at the exact opposite end of the spectrum of health, meaning I lived on alcohol and crystal meth.
Wow.
And so health was, if you would have told the 18-year-old me that I would be a health coach, I would have like flicked you off and said, get the hell out of here. Right. So it was in the depth of prison while I had a juvenile strike and an adult strike under the California's 3 strikes law. I was like this close to doing life in prison at 18.
Wow.
And so the identity I had at that time was I'm a gangster. I'm always going to be a gangster. And so the chance that I have of getting out and never breaking another law is very low. So this was my rock bottom. So at 19, I was in the middle of a 2-year sentence, and it was basically I had accepted the identity of a convict. And I said, I'm always going to live here. I'm always going to be here. Why did I accept that identity? Because it was a safer option than entertaining the idea of turning this whole ship around. Because I was like, wow, look how much momentum you have going.
Did you know about the possibility of turning your life around at that point? Was it not even an option in your mind?
No, it was, thank you. You're getting me to my point. It was through the compassion of the inmates that I met while I was in prison that gave me the strength to want to turn around and say, wait, I have my whole life in front of me. A lot of these men don't. A lot of these men are never going to get another chance, and I'm going to get out. It doesn't matter how small my chances are. I'm going to go for it. During my time in prison, I lost 40 pounds. So at my height, 5 feet, I was like 180 pounds drinking beer. And so I got out around the same body weight I am now. By the time I got out, I was helping other inmates lose weight. I was helping other inmates get healthy, stay hydrated. And so it kind of was born in the depth of prison, where I started doing push-ups and realizing, wait, I can change my body and improve my thinking and improve my life just by working out. So I fell in love with fitness.
That is fucking fabulous, bro. Like, you've explained it so well, but I can imagine the reference experiences that you've had are so fucking profound, and that experience, you've just in a nutshell given us sentences, but it's the reference experiences that you've had in that transformational time in prison, at the rock bottom, as you said, and coming up, that's ultimately found you in the position you are in today, where I consider you a very wise being that is very healthy or on the path towards health. And I love it, brother. I really do. I'm really inspired by you. So thank you.
Thank you. In pursuit of the healthiest self. Quite simply. And it's been a pursuit, and it's a blessing in a disguise. It's disguised as hard work, right? But it's not hard work. It's a blessing when you get the benefits of this pursuit, you know?
Exactly. And we were talking a little bit earlier, like you said, you're full of energy right now, and I can tell you're full of energy, and even more so than probably you normally are. And do you want to tell us why particularly at this moment in time you are full of energy? Are you working any protocols?
Yeah, sure. We go through these ups and downs, and speaking to that, I have this pattern. Well, I'm growing out of this pattern where I would just wait until the motivation hits, and then I would be healthy, and then it would be all high, and then it would go low again, and then I would stop. I would disappear from the planet and be unhealthy, and then kind of sit around and wait until the motivation hits again, right? Well, for the first time, since I started actually doing this liver cleanse and documenting it, I'm actually I'm actually tipping the first domino. As in, instead of waiting for inspiration or motivation to hit, I picked myself up by the bootstraps, got the celery, did the juicing, and started the first domino and did the juicing for 3 days. And now we're on 4th day. So now I can feel how that motivation can come with the seasons, or you can be the emanator. You can be the thing that causes the wave to begin. You can be, the thing that's causing the wave instead of the thing that's affected by the wave. And what I'm seeing is the feedback that I'm getting from people. It's like this feedback loop where I'm getting motivated by other people and people are motivating me. And now I have to continue because I'm helping all people. And it's just this upward spiral. And, that, and, the other thing is the urine therapy has been a constant, it's been a constant thing in the background for like 6-7 years now. And we discount the power of slow and steady progress, right? We're looking for explosive results, and we're looking for like, this is the best thing in the world, right? Well, the best thing in the world is when you let something settle into the background and become part of the environment, to where literally the results from urine therapy over time, it's like it puts me at a calm. It puts you at a calm to where you almost feel bad for people that are always on this high and low of like the average citizen out here is on this push and pull of energy and motivation. And when you're on UT, you're so balanced and you're so level-headed. It's just like, you wish you could come out and tell everybody why. Like, everybody, you're dehydrated. You're dehydrated, but you can't tell people that they're living wrong. No. You can't do that.
Well, you can, but you won't get anywhere. You can.
Yeah. So yeah, I am on a high, but everything has its ups and downs.
I love it. You touch base with so many points that I'd like to unpack a little bit. And one of them is really important, is the fact that motivation. You talked about motivation. Now, this is helpful for people because people sometimes feel like they need to be motivated in order to, not just to start something, to maintain a practice. And you touch base and said it's not all about like waiting for that moment. I think you implied that, waiting for that special moment of like, oh, I'm motivated, now I'm going to do it, and now my life's going to change. It's not always about that, right? Sometimes it's just about consistency.
Yes, rituals and routines. Rituals and routines save us. It's one of the rules of mastery that, like, although our motivation comes and goes in seasons, if we fixate on a routine and ritual and get that to operate outside of our emotions, growth happens as a product of it's just a natural byproduct. Right? Meaning, if no matter how I feel, I get if I get the muscle memory of creating celery juice or whatever juice in the morning, and I just get used to doing the work and chopping, and whether I feel tired or not, what's going to happen is I'm going to reap maximum benefits from this routine or ritual without having to feel motivated at all. So let's harness motivation. The best way to harness motivation is to set rituals in stone. Right? If you just use the motivation to do a 3-month weight loss challenge, and it was 3 months of the most motivated time of your life, and then 9 months of like, screw it, then that motivation was in fact wasted, right? But if you use the motivation to, over 21 days, set a juicing habit, then you've spent the motivation wisely, because now through the winter, when you're not motivated, you're just automatically juicing. So I'm feeling that right now. I'm feeling those benefits of like, wow, I committed to this deep breathing practice, for example, and now it's starting to apply when I'm not thinking. It's starting to apply itself when something hits me the wrong way. Here comes the controlled exhale. It's like, wow, you're observing the growth, So yeah, routines, rituals, a super big way to hack that motivation thing.
Definitely. I look at it like it's a lifestyle thing. And once you start getting those little memories, those little reference experiences of, actually, this is not just a little trick to make me feel good for a day. This is a lifestyle, and it becomes ingrained into your personality, and it becomes like a rock with reference experiences. It becomes who you are, this healthy person that does these healthy things on a daily basis, not because of validation from other people, because you want to feel good inside your body. And that's the ultimate goal to me. Like, you want to feel good. Right.
It's the difference between pursuing experience versus pursuing an image. Right? We pursue, like, I want to work out to where I feel good today. That's going to be a totally different workout than I want to work out so I can look like Arnold. Like, you might hurt yourself if your intention is an external image, but if your intention is an internal feeling, you know when to stop. You know how much is too much. And with the health, it's really humbling for me to kind of admit to myself that, like, okay, I idolize all these raw fruitarians, yes, but personally, I got to start where I am. And as long as I keep trying to be there, I'm going to keep hitting this wall where psychologically it's not clicking. So let me just be the semi-raw right now. And let me just show that and say, hey, this is where I'm at. I'm almost there. I'm getting there. I still eat the brown rice or sweet potato at night. I still have the raw fruit during the day. And what this is allowing me to do is accept myself.
Yeah.
Accept yourself.
It's another great point you made. Like, you're making a lot of great points that resonate. They're really important for people to hear. We need to re-emphasize these points. One of them is that it's nice to look up to people that are a lot above you in health and say, okay, this guy has got the ideal diet. He's 100% fruits. But at the same time as looking up to them, don't get caught up in that and start comparing yourself too much, because that can lower your self-esteem. And that's not your journey at this moment in time, right?
Yeah. And it's just like, once you're able to say, that's not where I'm at right now. I know that's better. Yeah, it's not where I'm at right now. Then you can start to say that for other people, as in you're going to stop preaching in a certain way of, okay, that's not where he's at right now, but let me just show you the other ways. Instead of saying, why aren't you here? You should be here. I turned vegan in 2014. It's 2019. Why are you still not vegan? Right? That's the idea, right? And so it's just like, it's a humbling experience to say, well, fruitarian is not where I'm at right now, but I'm at vegan. Vegan is not where he's at right now, but let me just show him what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
And it's like recognizing that we're all on this spectrum, and some people don't want to recognize that they're on a spectrum. They want to think, no, we're carnivores. All right.
But you think about this as well. What's that doing to someone's health? Because ultimately, we know that emotional health is just as important, if not more important, than physical health. What are you doing to yourself if you're beating yourself up? What do you think that's doing to your physical health? If you're beating yourself up and not self-loving because you know that some ideal is good for you, but then you're like not at that level and you're not accepting yourself, the journey, the process you're going through. That's really damaging you at a health basis, and people don't realize that. Like,
it's time. This lesson is a lesson whose time has come. Because we have a lot of people who are pursuing health at what expense? At what expense? Because self-acceptance, health, your steps towards health have to come from self-acceptance. If you accept, and this is the same as weight training, I can pull a lesson here, because when people start weight training, they want to go to the heaviest weight as if heavier weights get more results. But if you're not training at the weight that you're currently able to handle, you're going to get hurt. It's the same equation with health. If you're not eating at the level that you're at right now, based on the law of vital, what's it called? The law of vital adjustment. If you're not taking steps based on where you're currently at, you're going to get injured, even if it's only psychological. And I've been there. I've been to where I'm neurotic about food because I'm so perfect. And maybe even I presented an image of myself as perfect, but I'm not really there. I'm not there from an internal perspective, which is where I'm starting to get to now. I'm like, wait, I'm really there. What I'm talking about, this is where I am, and when you could be honest with yourself and therefore others about where you are, growth.
Yeah. And as you're reflecting right now at this stage of your journey, absolute happiness, like so much more happy than where you probably were a few years ago, even though you probably were healthy that time too. You're much more happier.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and it shows. It shows in the content, right? And just in the ability for me to be open with my stuff. It's sometimes I have to realize and remind myself that I'm a lot happier than I was 5, 4, 3 years ago. And say like, okay, like, we made progress. Let's keep going, because as long as I got my head down, like I'm looking at these other people who are so much better than me, I think I'm doing bad. That's a mistake. So many people are doing way better than they were doing last year, but they're still idolizing people and they're still comparing and they think they're doing bad. So who are you comparing yourself to,
I love that message. Thank you very much for your mastery and bringing that to us, your attention. Can we go back a little bit and talk a little bit about how you got to urine therapy? You said 7, 8 years ago. What was your first, I'm actually, Jeremy, don't know this too. I'm curious. What was your first port of call into urine? How did you hear about it?
This is very important. So, all right. So let's just say that there's going to be people that come to this from my Instagram that have no idea about this urine therapy thing. All right. So I'm going to break it down now. All right. So, basically my brother has been trying to inject spirituality in my life this whole time. When I was in juvenile hall, he would be on the phone with me trying to get me to meditate. He actually coached me to have my first spiritual experience even in a juvenile hall jail cell.
Is he older than you, your brother? Older brother, I'm guessing?
He's 2 years older than me. So we're like kind of the same age. And so And he would tell me to close my eyes and imagine the white light and all of this stuff. And when I went to prison, he started sending me books about Edgar Cayce, Eric Pepin, the Book of the Navigator. He started sending me all this information and got me to really see the other side. Now, there was a period where I was gangbanging, but I still had this side that meditated, and there was this crossover period. And when he first told me about urine therapy through text messaging, he explained it in a way that kind of aligned. It was like the body is alchemical, and he was just like, this is the real holy water. And the first thing I did was like, I laughed him off, and I laughed him off for about 6 months, but he stayed on it, and he stayed committed. He was doing his thing, and I was, and he's like my best friend. So I'm accepting of him. I'm just like, wow, my brother's really spiritual. Like he's crazy spiritual. Like I just had this idea of like, yeah, my brother is super spiritual. I think I'm a little spiritual, but he's super spiritual. So 6 months down the line, he just keeps egging me on. And what he did was he found an interview from someone named Seven Bomar talking about urine therapy. And Seven Bomar is someone that I highly admire. And I've been digesting his material because he kind of speaks my language. He's been in the streets and whatnot. So he kind of speaks my language, right? So Alan sent me an interview of Seven Bomar talking about urine therapy. And then that piqued my interest because I was like, wait, what? So it's almost as if it matters more who the information comes from and how much you trust that person than what the information is, right?
Oh, such a good point as well. You've nailed it. It's almost like you could present with 1,000 informations and truths, and you won't until you resonate with that person saying it in that way, in that style, then it clicks.
Because he's still my weird brother. He could tell me all about urine therapy, but he's my weird spiritual brother. Yeah. So it comes from the right source and the right frame. It's going to be wrong. This information counters all of the programming we've received since childhood and all the generational programming we've received.
I just add a little point too. That's almost why I feel like it's so important what you and I and so many people are doing. Like say we're talking about urine therapy. You think it's just one person needed. It's almost like people resonate with my personality but don't like me. Fine. That's why people resonate with you, don't like me. Or they resonate with me, don't like you. It's so important that we are all ganging together with different personalities and people, you know what I mean? Like it's so important.
Yes. Oh yeah. So it's more, it gives people a more holistic view of the thing. It's not just some crazy thing, right? So after 6 months of laughing them off, okay, I don't know what it was that got me to try it, but while I laughed him off, of course I'm like thinking about it, right? I'm like starting to mull it over in my head, right? So somehow I had my first, after 6 months of laughing him off, this is in 2014, I had my first try of fresh urine. And the thing was, I've been smoking weed for 10 years or longer. And, I was high at the same time that I drank it. So I had this crazy experience. You could say it's the weed, but I'm always high, so, but the high that ensued, like I came out of the bathroom dancing. All right. Like literally like doing the robot because I felt so good. And I felt it was just an it was explosive for me the first time. Maybe a good dose of weed with your first time isn't a bad idea because I'm never going to forget it. I felt so happy. And what it is it's like you're being hydrated for the first time.
Yeah.
It's literally like, imagine being thirsty in a desert for your whole life and then getting water for the first time. You're going to be dancing, so, and then from there, the real health journey started. You know what I mean? Because you think you're healthy eating 6 meals of protein a day. You think you're healthy drinking the protein shakes and dairy and milk, drinking 12 eggs a day. Like it's an amazing thing when you make the jump mentally from what we really need, from what we're being led to think we need to what we really need. You can't translate that in one conversation. People have to feel this and realize this on their own.
And the shift must have been huge and profound. Like you said, from the first time you knew, and not only that, the fact that you knew you could produce this substance every single day of your life for free is like, holy fuck.
Yeah. And it completely shifted my mindset on fitness. It started this cognitive dissonance within me because here I am, I've been teaching these people these things. I'm still teaching people these things, knowing that there's this sacred information. But here's the thing, as time passes, I respect urine therapy more and more. See, the first year you want to tell everybody, you want to stand on the soapbox and tell everybody, hey, we've been lied to. Here you go. Here's the key. Here's the golden ticket, right? You're like, hey, take the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. It's playtime after this. But with time, you realize that this truth is such a profound, it's such a groundbreaking truth that it's like, if you look at it in superhero standards, it's like a weapon that not everybody can wield. It would kill you.
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah.
It does kill people, right? As in it turns people off. It'll shut people down to the spiritual path. Yeah. So in effect, divulging this information has to become like an art. And that's why I respect you. And I said in the beginning of this, for coming out with the books on aged urine. I'm just like, oh my God, you embody like what I'm afraid to do. It's like, that's why I have so much respect for you for doing that, for stepping forward, because it's just like, I'm on the other end. I'm like, I want to DM people and say, hey, by the way, look this up. Tell me what you think, you know?
Yeah. Well, brother, you know what I feel like when I did it? I feel like this, I'm sure you can relate to this. The information is so powerful. Like you said, this is sacred medicine. This is the game changer for people. How do we get to people? We do it on platforms. We talk about it. We do it on social media. We talk about it in person. We write a book because some people are more real than just talking to them. So we put them on the platforms, and I can't not keep it. I'm sure you're the same. You can't keep it inside. You can't, because it feels like it's hurting the system. It's hurting the people you want to help that are unhealthy, that can get this message. It will plant the seeds in the people that are ready. So we have to do this thing. We just have to.
And the truth is, it's like when you increase, like for me personally, it is a lack of compassion that allows me to keep the secret. It's like the more compassionate I get, the harder it gets to keep this secret. Because it's like, wait, if I truly love you, right? I don't care what your reaction is going to be. If I really love you, I don't care if you're going to have a knee-jerk reaction, because I'm going to save you with this gem of information, right? And it's fascinating to talk about the resistance, the psychological resistance to urine therapy.
You want to go there a little bit. Talk about psychological resistance in your opinion. I'd love to hear it. I really would.
Oh, the thing that makes it interesting is when you refer to it as the most powerful mind control that ever exists, right? Because imagine somebody having the key to their life in front of them, but coming up with a roundabout way of getting them to think that it's a poison. Right? Like imagine the layers and layers and generational layers that they had to do to lay the groundwork to get us to, first of all, start thinking it's waste rather than it's a part of nature, right? This is the soil. This is how we feed trees. The water is how you feed dying animals. Like Jesus uses water to probably heal some birds. Like to get from there to thinking that it's poison and it's bacteria, we had to endure a high level of programming. And not only that, the truth and proof of that is that it continues today. Things that are lies outright must be repeated. And if you watch any mainstream movie, they're always going to talk about, ew, I'd rather drink my urine. Yeah. Why are they saying that?
I always wondered where it came from, brother. Like this fascinates me that from birth we've told this. Where's this information coming from? You're saying movies, you're saying books, you're saying people. Who started this all? These are great questions. Like, go use to think about that.
Yeah, these are questions that if we start getting to the truth of this, we better start hiding and living on an island somewhere far away, because the people putting out this programming, you know, we just say big pharma, all right? It's just like they need this messaging. It's important, right? At the same time, they're collecting our urine to use in medication.
Right.
Yeah.
In
the way.
Yeah.
So it's a big sleight of hand, you know, what's going on with the urine therapy.
Definitely. What comes to mind as well, do you know what? I'm 32 years old. My parents will still say, wash your hands after you've been to the toilet. And that the ultimate irony in that statement proves the backwardness of society. Wash your hands after what? Urine being far cleaner than the tap water by a million. That's the ultimate one to me. And that comes from somewhere that deep within that I think it's just not accidental. It's a matrix thing, programming deliberately kept.
It's you know, if you watch the movie They Live, where they put on the glasses, right, and then they see the aliens, right? From the perspective of a urine therapist, okay, the world looks supremely mind controlled. And see, there's no way we can communicate that to the mind control. It's just like the movies. Like, how can you tell someone they're being programmed while they're in the program? You know, and we look like, and the system has created a place for us to fall into. As in, as soon as we say urine therapy, oh, he's one of those crazy hippies.
Yeah, like you did with your brother. Like at the beginning. You're like, oh.
Yeah. So just like, and I put him in that crazy hippie box. So how would I think that no one would put me in the box?
Yeah.
They're definitely put me in the box. So just to see how the game is already pre-set up for us. Like, we're not going to break down the system anytime soon because they already have a box for us. You know,
No,
but they
yeah, they have. But have you noticed there's a massive awakening going on? I'd love to know your opinion on that. Do you think that there's that the rates of people waking up to these truths people are being more open-minded? Do you think that, or do you think that it's actually getting?
No. I definitely agree. And you know, people say it's in the stars, and there was this video recently about this guy, this FBI informant or a leaker, and he was talking about how the government already had computer programs predicting the future, and what had been predicted was this mass awakening or this mass shift away from the system, and that this whole time since 2000 or 2012, they've been doing all kinds of measures to try to stop this mass awakening, but they have computers that can predict the future multiple million times, right? They're putting these what are those big computers called? The quantum computers. They're using quantum computing to predict all the outcomes. And the guy said that all of the quantum computers point to one thing, and it's like the mass shift away from the system. Yeah. And basically, this guy since got like assassinated. And the point is that whether you look at this from an astrological aspect or look at this from purely the numbers, you can see, and if you look at it from natural laws, you can see that like with every low comes a high, and what they've done to themselves, and this is alchemy in progress. Like Los Angeles was the first place where they started emitting the negative frequencies. See, this is their fault. See, they first started like with the Beatles and the music in Hollywood. LA was the first place they started emitting the negativity, right? And if you research right now, there's this awakening going on in LA called the meetup culture, where people are meeting up to meditate, people are meeting up to do sound healing, people are meeting up to do all of these enlightened things, right? And why is it happening in LA? What's going on with LA? People think it's just because LA is the center of culture, but see, the powers that be started this whole natural process by starting with LA to emit those negative frequencies, and what goes down must come up. This is a natural alchemical law. And so by the vortex of negative energy they've created in Hollywood, right? And they're still spewing the negative shit from Hollywood all over the world, right? Globally, right? But see, now the awakening of light is also starting in Hollywood. And they're never going to talk about it in the media. But if you go to LA, it's woke culture there. People are meeting up to do sound bowls. You know, people are meeting up to do yoga naked or whatever or whatnot, you know? So I think
this could also resonate with what I know about LA's got 5G at the moment. They pushed 5G. It's one of the earliest places in America, probably again, to push it down because of the awakening, you know?
Yes. And see, this exactly. They're trying to do measures, right, to stop the awakening that's happening, but you can't stop something as powerful as the human spirit. See, once we learn how strong this heart frequency is and what we can do when it comes together, it's like there's this movement in China where like millions of people started meditating and doing this form of Tai Chi, which is like energy cultivation. And China came down hard on them, and they started killing people and breaking up the meditation circles, and many of them like died. Many perished during that movement. But it's just like our turn in the West is coming. For us you're going to start seeing meditative protests where it's just like, no, we're just not participating, you know? And imagine a protest with the power of urine therapy. See, it's like, can you really keep us down? Like, can you really like
can you really stop us drinking us up pee? Can you really stop us aging our urine? I don't think so, bro. Good luck with that.
No, you can't stop this. You can't stop that. And that's why, and see, so urine therapy being the most powerful topic, because again, it would allow people to protest indefinitely and to exit the system indefinitely. But that is the exact reason why it's suppressed so much.
Yeah, 100% agree. Do you think that people can survive? This is a controversial question. I don't know if you would be able to answer. Do you think people can survive on urine fasting? Do you think that's a possibility in this day and age?
Oh, yeah.
You do? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I fully believe that. But I'm not saying I've done an extended urine fast. But I just, from what I think, that's just what I think. I think that people can survive just on their own urine, for sure.
Yeah, I like that bias, because by that measure alone, it's a very powerful therapy. And we haven't even talked about aged urine. What's your opinion on, have you messed about with aged urine? Do you think it's more powerful? And I'd love to know what you think's going on with it too. Your information, do you know why it's more powerful if you think it is?
Well, I keep aged urine. I keep jars of aged urine. Can you see?
Cool. Look at that. Wow,
so
bro.
All my jars.
How big are those jars? What are they? 250 ml? 5 mason jars? 500?
this is it's this big. So what I have here is when these jars get full, I write the date on them. Let me try to flip this camera around real quick. Okay, so what I do is I write the date on them right here. This is from July 5th, and they all just have different dates on them. And I use age for so many reasons that, you know, it's like, I'm sure you can imagine, like most of my beauty products or moisturizer products have been replaced by the holy water.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I the only time I'll take a shower is for cold water therapy, meditation type thing. Otherwise, it's just a wipe down with the UT. I mean, and
with the aged urine, doesn't it smell a little bit, or is you okay with the smell? Or
here's the thing. When it's aged past a certain level, it doesn't smell at all.
Cool.
It's a lack of smell. It just smells like non-body odor. And maybe that's just me because I've been smelling it so long. And maybe it's because I always smell like weed. I don't know. I don't know. But basically, you know, I mean, first of all, you know why aged urine is powerful, but I believe that it's just, you know, when you ferment it, and fermented I like better. I like the term fermented.
Yeah, me too.
Because fermented implies that it's living. And it's living. It is living. And so, you know, one person, like when you come across the idea that it has to be oxygenating, it has to be breathing, this is when you get into the power of the aged urine, right? Because, you know, I've experimented with keeping it closed. You don't want to do that. It's like the difference between like cheese and medicine, right? Cheese is like poison. This is like fungus, and medicine is like, you know, powerful. And it reminds me of a diametric opposite of liquor or alcohol. That's what aged urine reminds me of. It's like think about alcohol, but the exact opposite health-wise.
I love that quote. Think of alcohol, but the opposite.
Yeah. Take shots, right? And you might feel a little burn, but it's not the same burn. You're not going to get an ulcer from this shot, you know, or how we're going to do it.
It gives you that burst of energy, right? You take the shot and you're like, whoosh, whoa, where am I?
Yeah, for sure. And it really is endless, the uses, all right? Because we could talk about brushing your teeth, cleaning your eyes, ears, nose.
Oh, I'd love to talk about that, because you made a video once I was really inspired by. I thought it was fucking awesome. I actually asked you to watch it. I remember. Yeah, you talk a little bit about your morning routine that you had. And I still keep it. I have the neti pot here, and so what it is cleaning your nose, and I have the sniffles, but I'm just not suppressing it. I just let the mucus. I don't try to suppress it. I just let it go, do what it does. It's just my body's detoxing, right? But using fresh urine for the face, all right, is like a good morning routine, just to kind of, you know, for me, just to kind of wake me up. All right. You can do the eye wash. You can clean the nose, clear the sinuses, clean your ears out. It really. Again, I used to do all kinds of things in the morning, like coffee, pre-workout, all these different things that you think are just like a normal pattern. And then you realize that you can use your own water, and it's like a lot more beneficial, a lot less harmful, you know? Yeah. So yeah, and brushing my teeth with the urine for sure. If you want extra strength, use the it does make you wonder, brother. It does make you wonder. Do you think? I don't think it's an accident or this. I think it's deliberately put there by. I believe we're created first of all, and it's deliberately put there as a medicine, and a multi-tool medicine for us in emergencies, but far more than emergencies, for our health. If we get a wound cut, if we have a poison bee sting, we're in the wild and a snake bites us, we're gonna die. We use the urine. You know, it's got so many purposes. It's not an accident.
A fun perspective to put on this, or a fun frame to put on it is like. We're like superhero gods.
Right.
Put those eyes on. We're like superhero gods, and we've been given divine tools of intervention. See, people like to talk about divine intervention, but have you ever peed on a dehydrated animal? Because they're going to drink it and spring up. And that sounds funny from the eyes of, we're just floating monkeys on a rock, spinning. Right. Yeah. Traveling through space. What are you talking about peeing on an animal for? But if you know that we're gods and superhero gods with divine tools of information, meaning my shit isn't just shit. It feeds a tree and it'll make the plant grow. Right. My pee isn't just pee. It'll feed the soil and make the vegetables grow bigger.
Yeah.
All right, so we can go around healing animals with this water. We can go around healing the sick with this water, as Jesus did, right? We can do what Jesus did and turn our water into wine, and use that wine to heal the afflicted, literally heal the blind and the deaf. See, and when he did that, when he used his water, aka wine, to heal the blind and the deaf, he got turned into a legend. And unfortunately, that legend got pulled away from truth, and they removed the truth about the holy water.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. One thing I do like to ruminate on with urine therapy is might be a minority, but we're standing on the right side of history. And what I believe is the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we're only going to grow in number, and we're going to be looked back a little bit like avant-garde legends. And my ego's like, well, yeah, look, it's fair play because we're going against the system. It's not easy to talk like so openly like you're doing right now, and so openly like I've done, written my books and all that stuff. So yeah, we're going to deserve what's coming to us, and a little bit of like, holy shit, these were the guys when in 2012 or 2008, they were like crushing, they were honest, they were fighting the system, they were talking about this shit, and now everyone knows about it, you know?
Yeah. So while I'm only gonna drop snippets and attract certain people to go to your page and watch the full thing, you're not gonna see me put it on my Facebook, because unfortunately, and we have to talk about this, like my work environment, okay, is such that if this information was to come out and permeate through my work, I could actually lose my job, and that's the level.
That's really sad, isn't it? That's you're not the only person. There's a lot of people like that are in that position. Like
social control. It's social control, because there's nothing physically wrong. It's something I do on the privacy of my own home, but socially, it's enough to destroy you, because the place I work is highly liberal. It's like in the heart of the city, and everybody there is loyal to the medical establishment, especially my boss. He bases his practices off what the doctors are saying, right? So if I come out there with this UT, I automatically become like unacceptable, you know, and that's just me assuming, you know, I have no idea what would actually happen, but that's just why you're not going to see me put it out on my Facebook. Unfortunately, my Facebook is compromised with my work life, you know. So
but Instagram, plenty of work to be done, but that's okay. We're happy with where we are at this moment, as you know.
We're up against like a behemoth as far as information control, right? And so for me, I have to kind of like be a ninja.
Yeah,
you know, I have to be a ninja in this spiritual war that we're in, you know, and I think that's the role that I'm going to be playing throughout, because, you know, again, we're just going to grow in numbers. And for me, I'm about to open a gym and build a business, and I'm still going to be a urine ninja.
That's awesome, brother. Let's talk about that. So you I didn't know this. You're going to open your own business in health specifically?
Yeah. So I've been blessed, man. So I've been at the job that I'm at for 7 years now, just learning, taking it in. It's been like a paid internship where I learn everything I need to know about.
What is it at the moment? It's Taekwondo, is it you're doing? Jiu-jitsu?
No. I'm a student of Taekwondo. What I teach and where I work is group exercise and weight loss.
Okay.
And so what I'm getting is this opportunity. A friend that I've been masterminding with for a year or over a year now, we've been meeting every week just to discuss business and help each other grow. He recently got an offer to open his own gym in my hometown, just off coincidence. Like he didn't plan on it. We didn't plan on it. He just ended up looking for houses, and that neighborhood he's looking in is my hometown. And so now it's like things are falling into place. So he got an offer for his boss, who will fund the entire gym, just for a 70-30 deal where he just gets 30% of the revenue. And he wants me to help him open this brand new gym. And what we're going to be able to do is create our own systems of nutrition and movement based on the newest information, not this old dumbbells and just, you know, the same old repetitious movement. We're going to be talking about natural movement, barefoot training. We're going to be talking about climbing, running, just basically the hippie form of physical fitness, right? About like, let's learn how to climb up a tree.
Our ancestor true form of fitness.
Yeah. Yes. And so because right now in the fitness world, if you just open a regular gym, you're going to look like a small fish in a big pond, and there's so many fish, right? But if instead we create our own system, we don't even call ourselves a gym. This is a personal development center, and we don't even do all those things. We've developed our own kind of system. This is going to make us stand out. And it's kind of like the entrepreneurial mindset of like, I'm going to make my own road, you know? Yeah. So excited. 2020 is going to be the year, man.
Oh, I'm well excited, brother. It's fabulous. And you know what? I think the demand is there now. The demand is there for you to grow. The people are there. The numbers are going to come.
Yes. And it's also because the current fitness paradigm has a lot of gaps. As in, there are people that have been coming to my work for years and they still can't get up off the ground without using their hands. They still hurt when they squat. Their neck is still in pain. So there's a lot of missing things in the current narrative of fitness that I'm excited to fill in, you know, so.
Oh. Do you think even, just a quick one, do you think in urine therapy will be some point in the future, maybe, no, not 2020, but you that's in the back of your mind, is it? Or that's
what do you mean, involving urine therapy in my business?
Indeed, yes, at some point. Is that in the back of your mind?
You know what would happen for me to do that is I would have to be able to detach fully from my current like ideal of where I live. Like I would literally have to be outside of the country before I open up on urine therapy, because that's just how I feel. It's just like I would feel scared. I would feel scared for not, and there's the egotistical side of reputation, right? But I would feel scared for my life too.
Sure.
You know,
sure,
if I started talking about it openly and starting to practice. So if things go well and I help my friend build a gym and then I end up doing retreats and then end up going to Costa Rica or the tropics, then we would make a business off of it. But you know, not before that, man.
This is awesome, brother. I would definitely want to come to your gym at some point and check it out when it comes to 2020. It's going to be awesome.
I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay, let's transition a little bit to off urine therapy and talk about a little bit other what health to you. Let's talk about other health protocols that you're passionate about. Maybe you want to talk about the liver flush a little bit. You're going through exactly what that protocol is and what do you think is the most effective way, the fastest way to get into health, like to clean up?
So you know, for a long time I've been on urine therapy and it caused me to think that I didn't need to learn anymore, because you think, okay, well, this thing is good for everything. I'm good. Well, I'm good. That doesn't mean anything for any of the people that I'm helping, right? And while I could sit back and drink urine therapy and munch on fruits and be good, that's not going to help these people, right? So let me be honest with myself and say, like, okay, what are some addictions that I do have, and how can I use these tools like celery juice to help me fight my addiction? So the current thing I'm going through is I'm starting to recognize the smoking thing as something that could also be potentially giving my liver more work than it needs to. So this habit that I've loved for so long, smoking weed, it's starting to come into my awareness as something that could be burdening my organs more than they need, right? Because I've been reading this series by a man named Anthony William. It's called The Medical Medium Series.
Oh, I've got that book. Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, definitely a good book. Yeah.
And as soon as I read one of his books, I immediately bought all the other books, because everything he's talking about resonates with all these things that I was suspicious of but didn't have confirmation of. Like, I was suspicious of the fact that they tell us our glands just turn on and off, right? I was suspicious of that because it's oversimplification, right? And so his description of the organs really opened my eyes to the idea that, you know, first of all, on the Eastern religions, the Tao, they talk about, like, or maybe it's not the Tao, maybe it's Buddhism. They talk about little gods being in us, and we have to honor the gods in our body. We're the macro, there's micro, and the way Anthony William talks about the organs, it starts to reveal them as godly, because they're always sensing everything around them, and they're always working to preserve the balance of everything around them, kind of like a god. And the things that they're always doing, they're always fighting for you, sacrificing for you. It's kind of divine the way they're always fighting for you no matter what you do. And so he started to get me to see that, like, we can assist these inner gods in what they're doing. And yes, I can just do urine UT, but there's so many other tools. There's a plethora of tools out there that if I start to embody them and become, and have those tools become a part of me, then I can give people those tools to use on themselves, and not before. So I can't tell you, hey, drink some celery juice and then you'll be good. I must first go through it, see how it is, and then be like, well, this is what happened to me, and this is what can happen for you. So the Liver Detox, in all of his books, he talks about the core causes of these so-called diseases, right? There's so many of them, and the reason there's so many.
I'd love to know what the 4 causes he lists. You know, off the top of your head, the 4 causes of diseases. I can't remember.
No, I said the core causes. The core causes.
Oh, okay.
But there is something called the 4 horsemen, which is basically herbicides and pesticides, heavy metals. There was 4. I'll probably go in the book and get it. There's something called the 4. It was like the 4 deadly horsemen, right? So But anyways, some of the core causes are viral. Okay, and virology is something that again, medical oversimplifies, and they talk about a virus as something that infects you, and once the symptoms are gone, the virus is gone. But what Anthony clarifies is that these viruses exist in numbers, and when we get over the symptoms, that just means the numbers have been lowered, and the virus will go somewhere to burrow and wait for you to give the virus fuel so it can launch another attack. For example, when we have mono as a high schooler, what Anthony says is that the Epstein-Barr virus is launching an attack, because in high school, you're doing all these things like eating junk food, consuming heavy metals. Those are fuel for the virus. Now, when you give the virus the fuel, the virus increases in numbers, proliferates, then launches an attack. That's the mono. When you take medicines that suppress the symptoms of mono and you just let mono go away, the virus simply goes into your liver to burrow and hide out until your mid-20s to late 30s, where you give it more fuel. Let's say you just got married, you've been eating whatever because you got married, so you don't really watch out for your health right after marriage again. Or another example is a woman just gave birth, so her immune system is down. This is another opportunity for that same virus that gave you mononucleosis in high school to launch a secondary attack, this time on the thyroid gland. So what he does is he paints the picture where all these diseases are actually, most of these diseases are caused by very little triggers, very little amount of triggers, right? It's like 4 triggers: virus, heavy metals, pesticides, toxins, right? And when you start to address the root cause of these diseases, it's almost like you cover all the symptoms, all these conditions that we're being led to believe, like, oh, I have this condition, I have this condition. What he reveals, and what I've been coming across my own before these books, is that these conditions are just symptoms, and if we go to the root cause, we can start to heal all of these so-called conditions, right? And so this, why the celery juice? Because in almost every description of all, he goes and describes like the root cause of cancer, diseases, and the solutions are always plant-based. Like he's like, okay, you want to heal from asthma or diabetes, celery juice and blueberries. And then he just goes on to list like herbs and supplements that are all plant-based that you can take to fight these diseases. So I'm doing the celery juice because it's the easiest, most accessible, and most powerful thing. It's also the cheapest. I've juiced a lot of things. Celery juice is pretty cheap, and it's there's so many benefits. I could say I'm just calling it a liver cleanse because that's like the title of it, and that's the main reason. But I'm getting fat loss. I'm getting more energy. I'm getting better digestion. I'm getting better stools. My urine is getting cleaner. I mean, we can go down the list, right, of all the benefits.
You can redo your celery juice with the urine. It's probably celery urine, isn't it? Like, that's great.
So the thing is, like, I don't have to follow this protocol to the T because I have UT, right? So this protocol calls for celery juice, cucumber juice, and lemon water, but I don't have to do the lemon water because I'm sipping on my water. And celery juice, that it's like, it's powerful, you know? And so but then the average person is ready for that. The lemon water is perfect. And the thing I love about what I'm doing is it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It doesn't matter what your food beliefs are. You can be a carnivore and you can get a benefit from this protocol, and it will probably better digest your meat. You can be an alcoholic and follow this protocol, and it would probably make you live longer. And now I'm on that new thread of, okay, everybody is at different states of health, but what thread can we all pull on? You know, and hydration is one of those threads.
That's really important. And to backtrack a little bit, like one of the things that you've touched a base on, which is really important, is you meet people where they're at. So some people won't be willing to do urine therapy, so that's okay. You do the celery juice. Some people might not like celery, so okay, there's another option. Maybe you'll drink the lemon water. There's so many options. And one of the things I love about you is you meet people where they're at and you don't force them, because that puts them off could potentially put them off from healing altogether. So you just go with there's so many options, like we talked about earlier too. There's thousands and thousands of healing modalities from which we can choose. You can make your own. It doesn't just have to be urine therapy. It could be anything.
And so that's our job as the quote unquote speaker or whatever we're doing. Is our job isn't to force people to do anything. It's to have so many tools up our sleeves that whatever it is, we have a tool for them. And these are just different tools. So yeah, absolutely powerful. And I'm happy that I'm humbling myself and going on this journey that although I found something that maybe it's the best, maybe it's not the best, my job isn't done. My pursuit and my climb up the health ladder is not done. It's still up to me to keep arming myself with tools which will better effectively teach people, better effectively help people, right? So it puts UT in its place. Like, yes, it's on a shelf, but it's a coveted place that not everybody's ready for.
It's reserved for the people that are brave, open-minded, and really want to, in the way I look at it, it might sound cheesy, to be enlightened into your highest physical form self the quickest, shortest amount of time. That doesn't mean that you can't get there through other health protocols that are a bit slower, but it's okay because, like I said earlier, it's not about the speed of which you get to a certain place. It's not about comparing yourself to other people. It's about your journey of coming up slowly in duality and enjoying your process of coming up and not thinking, oh, that person's like 10 times higher than me and that guru, I want to be there tomorrow. No, it's going to take you a little longer. You're ill, remember. We will start off a low place. So
and that brings me back to the way I came about to finally saying yes to UT. It took a lot of like information, right? So knowing that what I'm doing with my YouTube channel is I'm actually like, people don't know it, right? But I'm laying down the foundation for UT without telling them, because I'm starting to introduce them to the idea that everything is water. Your body is all water, right? I'm starting to introduce to them the idea that the body is an alchemical vehicle. I'm starting to introduce to them that idea of your body is always pulling elements from the environment, right? Which is exactly what our urine is. It's a culmination of the elements that we're always consuming, right? And this puts a kind of divine perspective on urine. So before I ever reveal it, I'm going to make sure that the groundwork is laid to where when I say it, it's going to be like, that makes sense. And I've already had that effect with certain people, like people who followed me and who are getting this whole alchemy thing and getting this whole elements thing and earth, air, fire, water thing. When I tell them in the DMs that our urine isn't what we're told it is. Here, look this up, read this book. People have a better, softer reaction. It's not so much knee jerk. It's like, damn, that makes sense, man. Thanks. I'll look into it. So it's like an art form, revealing this, getting people to accept. It's like an art form of like, wait, how can I lay down some coursework so that when they hear it, it's not so much cognitive dissonance, right?
Yeah,
so,
you've got the social calibration, emotional calibration, which I find is key to becoming a good teacher. You've definitely got that, which is fucking wonderful.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing once you start, when you stop, and I'm looking through all the books right now, trying to find the four deadly toxin thing right now, but it's
maybe EMFs is one of them. EMFs, electromagnetic radiation, might be.
Yeah, that's it. That we got it. Heavy metals, radiation, herbicides and pesticides and DDT. Yeah, so within there we got all the four laid down. Now here's a funny note when he talks about radiation, and here's the thing. Anthony is a mainstream author, so he has to be very careful with what he says. And because anybody who's on the top level has to be very careful with what they say. It's important that we know our environment. In this environment, they're killing people for this, for revealing this on a high level, right? So two things. When he talks about heavy metals, he doesn't exactly ever say vaccines. What he does is he talks about everything that's in the vaccines without pointing at them. He says mercury, he says heavy metals, he says aluminum, and he says do your own research and research anything before you give it to your kids. So he's saying it without saying it, right? And with the radiation, and this is like when I just like kind of open my third eye and say like, what is he really doing here? Because he talks about the radiation that's coming from Fukushima, and the Fukushima radiation is affecting everybody in the world. And in my eyes, like this is a cover up, because it's actually the cellular radiation and the electromagnetic radiation from our phones, 5G. And you could say it's Fukushima all you want, but that doesn't negate the actual radiation that's always reverberating, emanating at us, right? So he talks about radiation as one of the precursors for diabetes and how it causes the fight-flight reaction. And it is, our phones, I can feel it. When I get a lot of likes, my heart starts beating. I know what's going on. You know, it's like this thing is setting off signals in our brain and in our heart, you know? And that is, let's just say it is something that we have to detox from at times, you know?
Definitely. I like that. So he does know, but he can't say explicitly, because they would knock out, he wouldn't be in the position he is of having so much influence and doing so much good work if he actually explicitly said that. And then his influence is gone. And then, like you said, even possibly might be dead. So we've got to be a bit wise.
So that's what I see. I mean, it would be hard to write a book about all the toxins and not put vaccines, but it's apparently what he's done. He's given you all the routes to healing without actually saying, like, because if you put the four deadly toxins together, those are like all in vaccines. All four of those are in vaccines. So, which brings me to another point of, there's a virus that he talks about in all of his books, called the Epstein-Barr Virus. And what we know about the Epstein-Barr Virus is that it's discovered in 1964 by scientists named Epstein and Barr. And that's it. That's all we know.
Is that all we know?
Like, we know who discovered it and who discovered it. This is their name. But that's all we know. And in my opinion, when you like this is the thing that I've been waiting to do this episode, where when you align what is in this book called ICD-999 by Patrick Jordan, this book is called Vaccine-Induced Diseases, the Chronic Serum Postulate. When you align the timelines in this book with the timelines about Epstein-Barr virus, you come up with the suspicion that this so-called virus that's the cause of all of these symptoms is being injected to us on purpose to keep us in a permanent state of inability.
Wow, like, bro. So you recommend people buy that book? I might look into that book too.
Highly recommend it. ICD-999. This guy, ICD-999 by Patrick Jordan. This guy is not a doctor. He's a math teacher whose wife has been in the hospital her whole life getting abused. So seeing his wife go through different diseases and how she never got any help, she just got stringed along for her whole life, it created this anger in him. And you'll see that this book is written out of anger. Like, he's capital letters, he's using cuss words. It's not written by a doctor. It's written by a man scorned, right? So what he did was he went back in the timeline 500 years looking into vaccination. And he really opens up how he talks about how vaccines can only be created in bioorganic states. So they use the reproductive organs of farm animals in order to create these things. So, and it's like things that you're suspected of. He just says it outright. And, you know, while his delivery could be better, the truth in here is absolutely explosive. And what I found, let me just, I have the note here. Dang, lost the note. But there's a year in here, right? He's a timeline in here, right? Where in 1964 they started using baboon DNA to create influenza vaccines, and in 1964 they discovered Epstein-Barr virus. There's all these like hypotheses. Oh yeah, we got these diseases because they're experimenting with monkeys, and we just laugh it off, right? We're just like, yeah, HIV.
Didn't autism kick off in 1960s as well, which proliferated crazy amount around that time as well? Right.
Yes, and so they're experimenting, and so when I open my third eye and look at this, what I see is, and Patrick described it. He described the medical system as an arm of the military, designed to keep to depopulate and keep us down biologically. And it makes so much sense, because when you look at medical from that perspective, everything they're doing makes sense. Yeah. But when you look at medical from, it's supposed to save lives, and you look at the numbers, you're like, why is seeing a doctor the third leading cause of death then, if it's supposed to save lives? But when you hear it's an arm of the military, and then you look at the numbers, you're like, okay, it makes sense now. So Patrick Jordan, highly recommend it. I think that the Epstein-Barr virus is something that's being proliferated and induced on us in order, if you just think about why every country is protesting right now except ours. Like just put two and two together, right? Like, countries where the medical system isn't as advanced are protesting right now, and countries where the medical system is highly advanced are docile. So what does that mean? That means that all of this so-called medical is being used to keep us down in a very physical way. You know?
Could well be, and I like the implication of it could well be Epstein-Barr virus is inside every one of us, but we don't need to worry about it, because like the fish tank, as long as the environment that we keep ourselves, our physical body is clean, it can't affect us. But if we're dirty, like most people, unfortunately, it will come out and affect us in multiple of diseases that we call out there, thousands of them, right?
And this is empowering. This truth is empowering. To own it, to say like, to get over the whole, like, I have Epstein-Barr, you don't have Epstein-Barr, oh, I have it, you know, I'm so glad I don't have it. He also went over the history of Epstein-Barr, and he said that in its beginnings, because Anthony divines truth from spirit. He didn't read this stuff from books. He's getting it from spirit, or his angel, right? So what he said was Epstein-Barr virus originally was friendly, and it would do the job of getting rid of toxins and shuffling toxins from here to there and eating toxins. Like, we need something in our body that eats toxins, right? And so before the Industrial Revolution, we just had this friendly virus that would, every time we encounter a heavy metal from some weird cause, the virus would process it and it would leave the body, right? But after the Industrial Revolution, we got exposed to herbicides, pesticides, heavy metals, on levels that we've never seen before. And then just add vaccinations into that equation on levels we've never seen before. And all of this is fuel for this friendly virus to then begin running amok. So it's very, it's very like, it's like when you hear this story, I almost wish that like this is taught in school, because this story gives you a storyline of truth where it's like, okay, there's a virus in me, but I can keep it manageable by eating enough blueberries and drinking celery juice, you know, and not giving it the fuel that it needs.
Yeah.
So
fucking fabulous, but I recommend everyone. I'm going to check out the ICD 999. I remember it now. So yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, and before we conclude, I'd love to ask you to either sum up, to give us a review of what message you want to leave people with, or like, is there anything we didn't cover that I didn't ask you that you'd love to talk to people about?
Oh yeah, there is something that we didn't cover, and I wanted to ask you about the last retreat that you went on and what that was all about.
Oh, okay, you talk about Vipassana.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, this is believed to be the meditation of the Buddha, and I'm reading a bit about it now. And yes, this is one way to enlightenment. It's a meditation where you look, you do a body scan of awareness of the sensations within your body, because there's a belief that all the traumas, emotions are sensations are exhibited in the sensation of the body. So you look at the awareness of the sensations, and then you don't judge it, because what we do is we crave good sensations, and we are averse and we don't like the bad sensations within the body. So when we are aware of what's going on in our body and all these traumas and emotions, and good and bad, without judging them, all of a sudden we get purification of the mind, which eventually, with practice and many years of hard work, leads to happier, healthier, a drug-like state of like psychedelics without taking drugs. And then the Buddha himself was said to have done this meditation and eventually reached enlightenment. And what I didn't do that. I did TM during most of it. That's my confession. And at the end, what I did is I collected stories of people, and people were telling me stories you wouldn't believe, brother. Like they were on drugs. They could feel the microparticle sensations going on in their bodies, like an orgasmic and healing psychosomatic diseases. And then I did a lot of research. I'm doing it by myself now in my room regularly, not as much as I should, but I'm getting profound results. And I feel like there's many paths to enlightenment in meditation, but I really do think this is the meditation that the Buddha did. And this is the meditation that is giving, and the reason why, and you know something else, brother, it's free too, and it runs on donations. The reason why it can do that is because so many people get profound results. So many people donate so much money that they can do this 10-day silent retreat and just focus 10 hours a day on your body, meditation, and self. And it's an experience I would love looked into. It's around the world. So in California, you're going to have it everywhere. Just type in the Vipassana retreat, and I'd love it if you went on it to experience, because you're an influencer on social media and in real life too with your business. So I think someone like you experiencing it, you'd be happy to promote it because you want to help other people in powerful ways with what helps you. So if it helps you, you promote, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm at the beginning stages right now of figuring out how powerful it is. So I'm going to talk a lot more about it. I'm really glad you asked me that though. So.
Oh, definitely. I will look into it. And thank you. Thank you so much. The message that I want to leave people with is that, you know, where you are at right now is important. Period. You know, it doesn't matter where that is. Like, you're there. It's important that you do the work that you're at. I mean, if you're in a highly depressive state, there's a reason. You know, if you're in a highly sickly state, there's a reason. You know, and you might not always see the reason why you're in it, while you're in the shit, but it's important that you're there. And I'll just say that, you know, and that it's important that you don't keep struggling and keep looking for the solutions. It's the struggle never really ends. We just start to embrace it after a while. You know what I mean? You start to embrace it after a while. So I thank you for having me on. I can't wait to, you know, have future talks and continue this energy exchange.
We have to have a part two. Before we go there, I'd love to know I'd love people to be aware of your social media channels. So you've got your Facebook. Do you want to reveal your Instagram, Facebook, YouTube for them?
Yeah. So my Instagram is at based in the plants. It's all underscores. So based underscore in underscore the underscore plants. My YouTube is connected to my Instagram. So if you search up GerarGuevera on YouTube, you'll probably find me. If not, find me through my Instagram. And yeah, and you got me on Facebook, so you'll be able to share my Facebook if people want to add me. But and yeah, that's it.
Awesome, brother. I look forward to a part 2, and this has been absolutely fabulous. And I love the work you're doing. And most of all, I'm looking forward to seeing you in either 2000 next year or the year after. I'll definitely come up to your gym and support you and see what the wonderful work you're doing. Anything I can do, let me know. So,
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. This is Holistic Health Harry and Likewise Rose Talk Show with GerarGuevera. Cheers, guys. Nice one, bro. Stop the recording. Well done. Smashed it.
Man.
That was super high energy, brother. I loved the talk, man. I didn't expect you to be so high energy. It's fucking awesome. I knew you were cool, but yeah, it was brilliant.
That's the thing. My energy cannot be transmitted through this phone properly, right? And it's always because I learned that because I teach group exercise and I teach classes, and it's an absolute experience for everybody there because I've opened my heart, and so I'm not afraid to be stupid, weird, dance. I'm not afraid. So people that come to my classes get an experience, and I'm starting to learn that although, and I used to only post pictures on Instagram, right? And how does that communicate my energy? It doesn't at all. But when I started going live and doing unrehearsed live
tip. So I want to blow up Instagram. I'm not very good at it. So you're saying do videos and stuff instead of just...
Well, what it is, here's the beauty here, and here's the rub is people think that they need to be perfect on Instagram, right? You need to have the perfect angle, but what is lacking on Instagram is realness. So if you just turn on the camera and be real, it's going to attract your people, and it's going to attract people that are starved for realness. People are endowed with so much superficiality, and people are selling them shit. When I turn on my camera and just say how I really feel, and I'm not afraid, because there's also this idea that there's so many professionals out there that your language isn't going to measure up. And I felt that like, oh my God, I don't sound as smart as Robert Morse. Oh my God, but people would rather hear you exactly how you are than anything else. And so
I love your energy. I can tell you're so high energy, and you're coming into mastery, like just like myself. I'm only 3 years into it, but I can tell like the way you're speaking fast and the way you're passionate about it is coming across to the viewer as someone that's a young man that's been through a lot. That's also coming through what you've been through in prison is coming up. Your personality is just everything that you've been through is just coming through, man. It's fucking beautiful.
And what you're seeing is all the preparation that I didn't know I was doing. Like I've been in these books, I've been in the trenches, I've been working these jobs like a slave, and I didn't realize that I've been preparing to be in this position, in this position where I could like communicate and make things simple for people to understand that are struggling,
All your life, brother. We've been preparing this all for this moment. We've been preparing all our lives.
Yeah, we have, man. For sure.
All right, just let you know when it's recorded. Next 2-3 weeks, hopefully I'll get it up, and oh, by the way, do you want the raw file of it? I can give you the raw file for your YouTube.
I would love that. I'll throw that on my YouTube for all my hardcore followers.
Awesome, brother. When I release it, I'll ask you for your email, and we'll sort that out so you can definitely get it on your YouTube and as a memory as well for yourself. And yeah, we'll be good.
Yeah. All right, thank you, man.
All right, have a lovely day, Gerald. Take it easy, man.
You too. Take it easy.
Bye.